Good afternoon. The Logan School welcomes you all on this special day. Welcome to friends, family. Welcome to our students. Welcome to all the special guests that came to see this wonderful occasion. But the most important welcome goes to you, the continuing students of 2004. It's always a wonderful time when we gather together. Often in such times, we speak of good memories, special people, or magical places visited during trips we have taken together. And we so enjoy such camaraderie when we talk. Yet it's sometimes painful to speak of what we have shared, for it acknowledges that we are at an ending. E.B. White said the only sense that is common in the long run is the sense of change, and we all instinctively avoid it. Part of a poem by Cole Swinson expresses this in a different way. Please, I'm going to ask you one thing. Don't bring on the future yet. I need to return to a moment that lives in a valley between our breath and our breathing. Each time we say goodbye to a continuing class, we know that we are sending them as our ambassadors into the world to carry the Logan School's belief that all life's possibilities are open to them, that they have the choice and the tools to lead extraordinary lives. Today we are speaking of another special group, a continuing class that represents 144 years of the Logan experience. This particular class has produced the yearbook, starred in the advanced school play, managed the stage crew, journaled their way through Boston, volunteered hours of time for others like The Gathering Place, Morning Star, and their buddies. They have won math contests and chess tournaments, been praised and awarded in writing and music, written at least 1 million words, built a myriad of dioramas, painted and sketched marvelous pictures, photographed interesting subjects, launched rockets, sang and danced, held interesting conversations, and accomplished extraordinary things on a regular basis. You will hear them speak, and then you too will know that they are ready for whatever change is coming. Let's celebrate the moment. Thank you. Please stand. Stephanie, it's hard to know which way to look. Stephanie Welsh, as Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to present to you the continuing class of 2004. My colleague, Patty McKinnell, and I do certify that they have met the requirements of the continuing class of the Logan School, and I present them hereby to you.
Today we celebrate the moment and we celebrate your journeys which brought you to Logan and which will now take you to new places with new opportunities and new adventures. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank all those who've made your journey through Logan possible. Thank you to your parents who paid your tuition and drove the loop and spent hours volunteering their time and loved you and supported you and believed in you. Thank you to your teachers who asked questions and opened doors and worked really hard and cared and believed in you. Thank you to your friends who learned and laughed and had fun with you, who helped you through the bad times, who understood you, and who believed in you. Thank you to your big buddies who helped you grow and learn, and who loved and respected and believed in you. And thank you to your little buddies who also helped you grow and learn and respect and believe in you. Thank you to all of the staff and the volunteers who work so hard to keep the school running smoothly so that Logan's magical kind of learning can happen because we believe in you. And thank you to the donors who may not be at the school, but who have supported the school because they believe in its philosophy and they believe in the potential of you. And finally, thanks to you for sharing your ideas and your talents, working hard, accepting challenges and responsibility, helping each other and our community, inspiring new families and the new family of our new head of school to come here, and for being such a big part of creating Logan's special atmosphere of love and respect that touches everyone who comes here. Maya Angelou wrote, "Your journey has been paid for. Lift your eyes upon the day breaking before you. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. In the days ahead of you, place your new steps of change with confidence, knowing that we at Logan respect and believe in you and wish you all the very, very best." Patty and Linda, the Board of Trustees proudly accepts the continuing class of 2004.
Again, thank you. I want to tell you right now, we're going to have a musical gift performed by the Sound Explorations Choir. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you our first class speaker, Els Baum. This is for you.
To all family, friends, schoolmates, teachers, and other relations of the continuing class of 2004, thank you for being here today. It means a lot to us to see the ones we care about here with us as we prepare to leave Logan. I am delivering this speech as a representative of Patty's Club's continuing students, Ali Belgrau, Paul Emmerich, Risa Katz, Megan McGregor, Maddie Rouge, Brandon Stepien, and myself. Our time here at Logan has ranged in numbers from the full 9 years to a shorter 3 and just about everything in between. We have contributed our thoughts and ideas to make Logan a better place, while at the same time contributing those same thoughts and ideas to some mischief that'll land us in Patty's office. We have formed friendships that will stay with us for the rest of our lives, but as a result have spent a lot of our work time talking instead of finishing our agendas. Our community service has made life a small bit better for some people, and our representation of Logan all over the country has brought the school respect and admiration from everyone we meet. We have learned how to accept the consequences of our behavior, be those consequences desirable or not, and the work ethic, hopefully a good work ethic, that we have developed here will put us ahead in high school and whatever lies beyond that. We would not be here today without a multitude of people, and it is those people who I would now like to take time to thank on behalf of our class. First, to the teachers. Without you, the school would not exist, and if the school didn't exist, we would have never become the people we are now. To Patty and the rest of our core teachers, we would like to say thank you for providing us with the classroom experience and teaching us how to learn things on our own, as well as integrating our history, social studies, geography, and language arts into our units. To our math teachers, we say, thank you for putting us through all of that, and thank you, and putting up with us when we complained. To our matrix teachers, we want to say thank you for cultivating our own personal interests and encouraging us to follow our dreams. It is because of you that we can open our eyes to all of the options life gives us. Also, we would like to give a special thank you to everyone involved in the theater program, as that has been a big part of Logan for all of us. You made the experience come to life. And finally, to all of those people who are not teachers in the professional sense, but have taught us an infinite amount about life and learning, we thank you as well. Then there are our families, who we would be nowhere without. Our families vary in shape, size, beliefs, professions, ways they like their coffee, and just about anything and everything else you could ever dream up. But they all have one thing in common, besides the fact that their kids go to Logan and that they're continuing today. That is that they all care. Just our being here is proof of that. We want to thank our families for being here today and thank them for always being there for us. Lastly, on the subject of thank yous, I know we would all like to say a thank you to each other. After class field trips, group projects, individual projects that we worked on in a group, friendships, fights, and everything in between, we've become almost a second family to each other. Yeah, siblings can get annoying at times, and you might not always get along with them very well, but you love them anyway. And, like a family, we've been through everything together. It's really weird to think that this is almost the last time we'll be all together like this, supporting and supported at the same time, just having someone there if you need them. But back on the subject of continuing, Logan is only a tiny baby step in our walk of life. Seriously, though. The world isn't taking care of its own problems, so people are going to have to step in with their own solutions. I see us as those people. We are the ones who will come out with that far-out, insane, just-might-work plan that could cure Ebola or protect African elephants from poachers. So, with the task of saving the world to keep us busy for the rest of our lives, I say we listen to the rest of our goodbyes and take a much-needed break before fighting our way through high school, college, and all of the other challenges life throws at us. Thank you.
Thank you, Els. And our second class speaker, Katrina Sonderman.
This moment has been so long in coming, yet somehow I cannot believe that it's here. Speaking, I hope, for all of my classmates, we are ready to move on. We are ready for bigger schools with more social opportunities. We are ready to no longer be the special kids that go to the school for creative learning. And most of all, we're all ready for new challenges. And yet, standing here, the goodbye tastes bittersweet. Our heads tell us we're ready to go. Our legs tell us it's time to move. And yet our heart skips a beat, knowing that this chapter's over, and never again will we have it quite like this. Some of us have been here since kindergarten, and some have come more recently. Regardless, we've all learned many things at Logan, whether we like to admit it or not. And not just about how a geyser works, or about some state with very little claim to fame. Linda, I really appreciate that Iowa assignment. We have learned lifelong lessons, lessons that we can and will carry with us for the rest of our lives. So with apologies to David Letterman, whom my parents rarely let me stay up to watch, let me give you my list of the top 10 things we've learned at Logan, not counting the basics like respect yourself, others, and materials. Don't play Red Rover, because it's dangerous. Hey, bring it down a notch in the lunchroom. And the one no Logan student will ever forget, be a good boss of yourself. To today's top 10. The number 10 thing we've learned at Logan, cooperate with your peers. Whether you're building a block city, preparing a presentation, or pitching a tent, cooperation will always be important. Few block cities would get built without teamwork. But as we grow up and look to the future, we realize that few cities will be built or rebuilt without people putting aside their differences and working towards a common goal. Number 9, take out your aggression on your teachers in a positive way. All of our teachers drive us nuts at times, which is why it's a good idea to release your anger in a humorous way. Whether you're having a snowball fight like we did in Yellowstone, rubbing shaving cream all over them on the annual Math Revenge Day, or splashing them mercilessly with your canoe paddle. Have some fun with your teachers, and by all means, never let them win. Number 8, seize the moment. Sometimes you have to get away from school to learn an important lesson. We all know that careful planning is important, but other times, spur-of-the-moment decisions can have a great result. As I look back over many family trips and good family times, the one that stands out most vividly is the impulse trip my dad and I made 3 years ago to St. Louis to watch the Avs beat the Blues on the way to the Stanley Cup. I got eye rolls from teachers and friends, and even a small one from my mom. But I wouldn't trade that trip for anything. There's a time to plan ahead, but every once in a while, there's a time to just go for it. Number 7, accept your weaknesses, discover your strengths. All of us have weaknesses, and all of us have strengths. And a part of growing up is coming to terms with both of these. In some cases, that involves discovering the hidden strengths behind the weakness. One good example of this is dyslexia, which affects me, a number of my classmates, and others throughout Logan. For me, accepting this weakness involved doing a unit back in IS on learning differences. Now my classmates and I have come to the point where we can laugh and joke about it. So my advice is to accept your struggles. Life will be so much better and easier if you do. Number 6, avoid crushes on your classmates. More importantly, avoid acting on them. Because it never works quite right or ends quite right. We are such a small group and we've known each other for so long that we're more like siblings. Number 5, the issues of the world are complex. As we've all started to think about problems that the world faces, and as these problems will soon be ours to solve, we need to keep in mind that the answers do not come in black or white. If they did, these issues would have been solved long ago. As we tackle these problems, it is our job to discover the grays and to think for ourselves, instead of simply reciting what we hear from our parents, our teachers, and our school. Number 4, relax, let your guard down, and have fun. Let me let you in on an everyday AS conversation. Somebody asks, working hard? Somebody answers, hardly working. But the reality is we all work hard. Well, most of us. And we're all aware that we'll have to work hard in high school. At the same time, we never forget to have a little fun. Just this year, we sang happy birthday really loudly and obnoxiously in the lunchroom. We poured water all over each other after school. We joked about a certain classmate being a little too kind to the feline species. And we shared obsessions over HG. And we all dropped our math books on the floor at exactly 2:45. From here on out, life is only going to get more serious. But we just have to remember to have fun, be silly, and every once in a while, forget what others think and let the kid in all of us come out and play. Number 3, get out and explore the world. Logan has taught us since day one to learn things from being in the world, not just reading them out of a book. So by all means, take every opportunity you get to explore. And consider yourself lucky. Tons of kids would die for the chance to go on a field trip like we got to take at Logan. Such an overwhelming percentage of the world's population never travels more than 100 miles from where they were born. Yet, this year alone, most of us traveled over 2,000 miles to Boston, and even more for those of us who went to Costa Rica 2 years ago. Even the youngest students go out into the world. The best way to understand and discover the world is to see and explore it. Number 2, appreciate what you have. This can come in so many different ways. One is to recognize that someone else may have that iPod you really want. But as is, we all have so much more than so many at Logan. So many. Another way to look at it is for us to appreciate what we've had at Logan. That doesn't mean we've loved it all the time, but we should be grateful for the fact that we could choose what we wanted to study, that even back in primary we knew everyone's name in the school, that we built such awesome friendships, and we traveled to such amazing places. And we should appreciate the opportunities we've had here and what our parents did to make that possible. At the end of last year, I thought I'd done it all at Logan, and I had my mind set on going somewhere else for 8th grade. Now, I'm so glad I stayed. The grass may seem greener on the other side, but I found that the grass is pretty green right here, even though we don't have any grass. And the number one thing we've learned at Logan, or at least what we're figuring out right now, as our last bit of Logan learning, joy and sadness are two sides of the same coin. If you'll remember at the beginning of this speech, I said that the goodbye tastes bittersweet. I don't think this would be the last big moment or transition in my life that feels like this. And I think we're learning that that is often the case in life, that the bitter and the sweet go hand in hand. Thank you.
And a special musical gift from our own Maddie Roosh. And as you know, this is Marty Kaplan's last continuation, and he is going to be our keynote speaker today. So welcome, Marty.
Dear graduates, Logan students, and guests, exactly 50 years ago, I was graduating 8th grade and was getting ready to go to high school. The year was 1954, and the place was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The name of my school was Woodrow Wilson Junior High School. I can still remember the school song. In fact, ever since I started writing this speech, it's been going through my head. Woodrow Wilson Junior High School, cheer the gold and gray. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. It was a different time back then. When we had to do large math calculations, we certainly didn't have calculators. We did them on a slide rule. Do you even know what a slide rule is? When we had to write papers, we hand wrote them, and we were graded for penmanship as well as content. And I was about to go to high school. I was enrolled in a school called Central High School, which was an advanced academic public school for boys only. That's right. In 1954, there were public schools for boys. Central High School still exists, but a court ruling changed it to a co-ed school. Different times lead to different sets of values. And what was the world like in 1954? The population of the world was 2.7 billion people. Dwight David Eisenhower was President of the United States, and Richard Nixon was Vice President. The McCarthy hearings were taking place. Senator McCarthy's intrusion into people's rights to free speech was a sad chapter in United States history. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education to bar racial segregation in the public schools. Dr. Jonas Salk had just developed the Salk vaccine and was just beginning to inoculate children against polio. And Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring was published in 1954. The World Series was televised in color for the first time in 1954, and although my family certainly could not afford a color television set. And Boeing was just starting to test the first jet transport plane, the Boeing 707. That's right. When I was your age, the only airport transportation available was on propeller airplanes. What a different world we live in now, as we can get on a plane and be in Los Angeles in a couple of hours. Of course, then we weren't worried about terrorism, and we didn't have to spend 2 hours in the airport getting our bags examined. And when I was your age, most people couldn't afford a color television set. Now, who doesn't own one? We have so many more luxuries now. However, in 1954, we didn't need to worry about the violence on TV and how it affects our young people. I think that more people read in 1954, including Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring. Now we can see it on the big IMAX screen, and I don't know if one's better than the other, but things are certainly different. I remember that Jonas Salk was starting to inoculate children to prevent polio. It certainly has become a far less dangerous disease now. However, now we're dealing with AIDS and SARS and continually looking for ways to cure them. The Supreme Court's decision to bar racial discrimination in public schools had enormous effects on education in this country. We're still struggling with ways to make it work. And as far as McCarthy is concerned, the issue of free speech continues to be one that we deal with all the time. The need for security due to the threat of terrorism has led to government policies that many feel are necessary, but many others feel are an impingement on our freedom of speech. And the increase in the world's population from 2.7 billion to 6.3 billion has been enormous. We have more than twice as many people living on our planet than we had when I was your age 50 years ago. That represents an additional 3.6 billion people that need work, food, and shelter. The challenges this presents in terms of economics, politics, and science are endless. How do we prioritize our needs? How do we balance the need for resources to support our growing population with the need to preserve our environment? How much should we be spending to help those on Earth? And how much should we be spending on space exploration in order to possibly open up a new frontier for humankind? None of the issues that I'm talking about are very simple. Free speech versus security. Freedom for writers and TV producers to express themselves as they choose versus what we think is best for our children. Our current world needs versus the future of our planet. Tough decisions to be made. And while we're making them, whenever we think we have something solved, like the cure of a disease, a new disease emerges. There are a number of ways that we can respond to these challenges. Some people become pessimistic, they throw up their hands in despair, and they're either depressed and do nothing, or they choose to ignore all of it and lead a self-serving, hedonistic life. These approaches of ignoring issues are completely unconstructive. Others try to solve the problem with oversimplified ideas. These people tend to say there is only one right answer and all the other approaches are to be rejected. This approach is dangerous, and it fails to recognize the many wonderful and diverse ideas and feelings that can emanate out of the human mind and the human heart. And some realize the complexity of these issues. They realize that humanity is capable of incredible things, and they realize that we can use that capability in positive or negative ways. They realize that we do need to care about the people who are living now, and we do need to address current needs. But they also realize that unless we pay attention to the future, we're embarking on a road to disaster. And what does all this have to do with a group of young people continuing from Logan School? It has everything to do with it. If we have succeeded, if your teachers have succeeded here, you are the ones who will be dealing with the ecological issues, the political issues, the medical issues, and the ethical issues. If your education at Logan has done what it's supposed to have done, then you will be the ones who will recognize the complexities of this world, and you will be the ones who will work to find solutions that are not only intelligent, but also moral and ethical. I believe that we have succeeded. I believe that there are very few schools in the world that do a better job at preparing young people to face the challenges that lie ahead than Logan does. I believe in each and every one of you. And of course, there's one other person up here today that's moving on to new challenges, and that person is myself. After working in education for 38 years, I'm retiring. But I'm retiring from full-time employment. I am not retiring from being a citizen of the world. I believe that there is room for young people like you to offer fresh perspectives, dynamic energy, and brilliant ideas to make our Earth a better place. But I also believe that there is room for old guys like me to bring some maturity and wisdom to the process as well. So, let's go out of here today happy and proud of our accomplishments, but ready to move to the next chapters in our lives with an optimistic and a determined attitude that we're all in this together and that we're all capable of making a difference. Thanks.
Thank you, Marty. And our last musical gift by the Logan Choir.